Okay, let's do it.
Stand by, everyone. Straight to you, Wolf.
Roll, get one, track, go.
There was an awkward moment during the State of the Union address when President Obama criticized the Supreme Court for lifting campaign spending limits, saying that would let special interests influence elections. Justice Samuel Alito reacted by shaking his head and appeared to say, not true, not true. Ahead of the president's speech, I spoke with former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor at Georgetown University Law School. Here's my exclusive interview. Justice O'Connor, thanks very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
There was this major decision the Supreme Court made the other day, as you well know, easing a lot of these restrictions on campaign finance. When you were on the bench, you said Congress could have a role in imposing restrictions on campaign fundraising and campaign finance. What do you think of that decision the other day?
Well, I haven't even finished reading this 170 some odd pages. I'm in the process of it now. It did overrule, in effect, a decision which I did help write in 2003, dealing with the McCain-Feingold Act. We upheld it in that 2003 decision, and a majority of the present court overruled a portion of that case.
It was 5-4, the decision.
Yes.
If you had been on the court, I assume you would have been with the 4.
Well, let's let that be. I'll refer you back to my opinion in that case, and it differed from the holding of the present majority.
Because the majority now in the 5-4 decision said it was an element of free speech. But do you buy that?
Well, certainly it's an element of free speech, but the question is whether it can be regulated when it's corporations involved.
Or labor unions.
It's not, or a labor union. It was not individual speech. It was not you and me. It was restrictions on corporate and union activity.
I know this is an issue. Now it's going to open up the floodgates for campaign fundraising by the corporations, the labor unions, other special interests.
I hope that it won't. It could. It has that potential.
Are you worried about that?
Well, of course I'm worried about it, because so much money has been going into judicial campaign races in recent years. I think the first state where we really had $1 million judicial race was in Texas, and that was back, I don't know, as long ago as the year 2000. And in the intervening time, we've seen a huge escalation in the cost of some campaigns. There was a $9 million campaign in Illinois.
And your concern is that with all this political money going into races, especially judicial races, races in the states, it could have a what?
Well, it has the effect of turning judges into these politically elected figures in arms races, if you will, by people with the means to support them. And what the framers of our Constitution tried to achieve when they wrote that Constitution back in the 1700s was an independent federal judiciary. They wanted federal judges to be appointed by the president with the advice and consent of the Senate and to serve for good behavior.
But the states had a different regulation.
No, all the states started out the same way, all of them. Appointment by the governor, some kind of legislative approval. It wasn't until Andrew Jackson's presidency that things changed, and he was quite a populist. And the concern then, in Andrew Jackson's time, was that the big interests, the special interests, were having too much influence in the selection of federal judges.
How do you assess the Obama administration in its first year in office as far as judicial issues are concerned? Sonia Sotomayor, for example, becoming the third woman on the Supreme Court.
I was pleased to see another woman selected. We don't have many. That brought it back up to 2. That's the most we've ever had at the Supreme Court. Our nearest neighbor, Canada, has at least 4 of the 9 in the Canadian Supreme Court are women, and their Chief Justice is a woman. So we can do better.
You'd like that?
I would like that.
To see more women.
I would.
A more balanced court.
Yes. Well, half of the law school graduates today in this country are women. We have choices.
So there should be opportunities,
Indeed.
Not only on the Supreme Court, but the other federal
Across
courts
the board.
As
right.
well.